This movie came out about 20 years ago, I think. Let's take a look. 2007, so pretty close. 18 years ago. This is a film by j.a.s.m.r, who is, in North America, at least I imagine, is most well known for the movie Hero, starring Jet Li. He's responsible for a lot of popular, again, like in North America, wuxia movies. This one, Hero, House of Flying Daggers, Shadow. He's also responsible for this Matt Damon movie called The Great Wall, which isn't so great. He's done a lot more movies than that, but that's what I'm most familiar with. I think he gained most recognition in the mid-90s with this movie called Raise the Red Lantern. I remember seeing this movie in the theater, and the trailers really misrepresented the picture. Not for me necessarily, but I was aware of what I was getting into. But the trailers they cut for this, they really emphasized the action in this movie, made it seem like another Hero. But this movie is like an hour, 50-something minutes long, and there's probably 10 minutes or so of action. So if I was under the impression that if I was under the impression this was an action movie, and I went to go see it, and I get this palace intrigue drama, I imagine I'd have been pretty disappointed. If you're not familiar with this movie, let's go ahead and read the back. 4 stars, a visual masterpiece from Star Magazine. Not familiar with Star Magazine, but I agree with both of those. From the director of Hero and House of Flying Daggers. They don't mention his name, that's kind of strange. From the director of Hero and House of Flying Daggers comes the martial arts epic masterpiece, whose savage beauty and exquisite elegance has memorized and captivated audiences around the world. I wouldn't consider this a martial arts movie so much, but let's continue. Set in the lavish and breathtaking, colorful world hidden from the eyes of mere mortals behind the walls of the Forbidden City, a tale of a royal family divided against itself builds to a mythic climax as lines are crossed, trust is betrayed, and family blood is spilled in the quest for redemption and revenge. Starring j.a.s.m.r, Scarlet Tiger and Hidden Dragon as the embattled Emperor, and Gong Li of Memories of Geisha as the Poison Empress. Curse of the Golden Flower grants you entry into a dazzling and spectacular world of betrayal, vengeance, and passion that will change the way you think of martial arts forever. That's a bit much. So as mentioned, this is like a palace intrigue type movie. It's kind of Hamlet-ish, now that I think about it. But j.a.s.m.r is the emperor in question here, with Gong Li being the empress. And he's a bad dude experiences. And it mentions it on the back of the box, so I guess I'm not really spoiling anything, but he's poisoning her. And she realizes that she's being poisoned. So there's some machinations of a coup. And amongst the family, divisions on which sides to take. The production values, the sets are really gorgeous in this movie. Everything's kind of bathed in, as you can see, these golden hues. But gold, I would say, is far away the primary, but there's almost like a rainbow of colors at times, purples, greens, reds. It's just a really visually arresting movie. It's kind of interesting he followed up. Actually, it may have been quite some time after. I'm trying to think of when Shadow came out, another movie by the director, but Shadow it's not a black and white movie, but it's very much leans into the grayscale, mostly blacks and grays, and these dark red blood. I'm actually surprised this movie is rated R. I guess it's rated R for violence, but there's nothing here that is exceptionally gruesome to have a rated R movie just for violence. That usually means to me there's some pretty aggressive violence in the movie, but I really wouldn't consider that with this. And I'm trying to think. I've seen quite a few movies with j.a.s.m.r. in it. He was one of my action heroes. He still is, namely due to all the movies he starred, John Woo movies and what have you. The Killer is one of my favorite movies. That's probably my favorite John Woo movie, but maybe we'll talk about that later if it ever gets an updated release. I'm trying to think of him ever being like the straight up villain, though. And I really can't think of any movies where, yeah, this dude's the bad guy. And he is like a deliciously evil villain in this. Just a real asshole. And it's strange because you don't necessarily root for him. But there are moments in the movie where it's just, I guess exciting is the right word, but you just know shit's about to go down, and it's very odd, the conflict of emotions when watching him, because in general he kind of plays, at least in the John Woo movies, even in like Crouching Tiger, even though he's more of a stoic character, he's still kind of badass. So seeing him in this, just being such an evil dude, maybe it's just my previous impressions of him. There's a slight rooting interest, but he's definitely not someone that you would want to root for. And Gong Li's character, her performance is awesome. Like the conflict that she has, some of the dramatic irony that you have as an audience member, and knowing what she's going through. It's a really well done performance, really great performance. And again, I already mentioned her royal cleavage. There's a tremendous amount of cleavage in this movie. I feel like j.a.s.m.r, he had a mandate everyone cleavage, and I can't really argue with that. I guess if I was emperor, there's worse things that you could mandate. Let's take a look at the inside here. This is a very early Blu-ray. 2007 is when the movie came. 2006. Wait a minute. When is it this movie came out? Okay, the movie came out in 2006, and the Blu-ray came out in 2007. And 2007, those are very early Blu-rays. And this could definitely use an update. I haven't heard of anything on the horizon shadow, and it looks phenomenal. And I have some imports of Hero and House of Flying Daggers, but they're just early releases on the format and could really, really use a revisit. One thing that's really held up, though, is the audio. There's an uncompressed audio track in this. That still sounds great. Yeah, the Chinese 5.1. It's a really great sounding track. So, not that I would complain about, an Atmos track or something updated, but from an audio perspective, this still sounds amazing. I'd say if you're into, I don't want to call this Game of Thrones. I really haven't seen Game of Thrones. I've seen like the first season, but I'm familiar with it just from a pop culture standpoint. But just backstabbing, scheming, incest. There's all your classic palace tropes happening in this. And when the action does happen, like Zhang Yimou's movies, they're just beautiful action films. There really isn't anything that I can compare it to from like a Hollywood type picture. And if it is, it's because they had more than likely like Wu Ping do the choreography. So like Chinese martial arts, he's a really classic choreographer that you may not realize you're familiar with. The Matrix and Kill Bill and so on. But I really enjoy this movie. It was watched during Romantic Movie Month, though I'd say it's a troubled romance in it. And if you can find it on streaming, I would definitely recommend checking